Hello, everyone. So I've been playing around with the new UDS radial storm and I just made a simple little blueprint and function to kind of expose some things and change some options. That makes it easy to change some options. And ultimately, we'll hook into GES wind direction, which the direction should already work fine now, although I haven't hooked it up, but I'll demonstrate it. And then the wind speed, and that's going to be a little trickier. Hopefully it won't be too difficult, but it's just a matter of figuring out what might look appropriate for the wind speed and the duration, because the only thing you have here to adjust is basically the duration between point A and point B. And so you kind of have to figure out if the wind speed, outside wind speed is 2, maybe clear skies, and it's pushing a thunderstorm just very slowly. And, again, got to figure out that mess. So right now, I just want to show you what we've got. Here's the BP, and it's basically a function. So um, you can either use it independently as a BP independent of anything and just drop the BP in, and go to your event graph, event you begin play, and call this function, and it'll do whatever you set here. Or if you just want to call this function, like for GES, we won't be doing it on event begin play. We'll just be calling this function directly. Um, so anyway, it's independent, so you can do whatever you want with it easy enough. So again, the use speed here is not working. Let's just take a look at what we have. Now, the first demo is just basically what he's got. And in his demo, in his example, in the documentation, is basically we are taking a spawn location, spawn transform here, a location which I put to this tree right here, and then an end location, a target location, which I've kind of put to this group here. And so the storm will follow along this track, and it'll do so here, just the size of the storm. It'll do so over the movement duration. It's like 20 seconds. And then you've got a fade in and fade out duration. Fade in is how fast the storm appears here. Fade out is once it gets to the end point, how fast it fades out. And if you have fade out by end of movie, it actually destroys the storm. So that's pretty cool. So we can just keep spawning, spawn a storm, have it run its course. It'll destroy itself, then spawn another storm, kind of like that. So let's just take a look at the normal way of doing things. So we'll start this, and we'll see the storm. There we go. And we'll see it moving towards that group of trees. Of course, I get closer, it'll be raining and all that, but it's just kind of easier to see the movement from the outside. Okay, so things I've added. Um, one thing, in order for you to move a storm from one point to another, you actually have to know the target location. So maybe an object here, or even drop an object, find out whatever your target location is. But maybe in a game, you're probably not going to know, your target location. So what I've done is basically um, you could do it over distance. So distance to travel in centimeters, which that's the normal unit for Unreal Engine. You divide it by 100, that's meters. 1,000, that's kilometers, and there you go. So basically you can choose the direction that would be your Z on your rotation, and tell it to travel along that Z for so many distances. Basically, all it's doing is creating this target location on the fly. It's not difficult. One way to get a distance, if you want to know your distances, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but you can go to perspective and you can pick whatever you want. Top and left are usually good. Okay. And then actually, let me take that back. One thing you need to do to make it easy, pick something where you want the map to show up. So like this one, pick that, because otherwise it'll be blank or you won't see anything. So just pick an object where you kind of want to look at, choose top, and then hit the F key. and that'll kind of zoom into to that object. Then you can just zoom, excuse me, not left click, right click and hold to find the objects you want. And then to find the distance, use your center mouse button and click and hold, and then drag it, to here. So I can see that's 17,000 centimeters. So now I know the distance between these two. And of course, you can see how it works with your landscape. I've got a 2K by 2K landscape. And again, this is how Unreal Engine works. And if I go and drag a distance here, I've got 200,000 centimeters, which ends up being 2K once you break it down. Okay, so that's an easy way to do distances if you didn't know that. It's pretty cool. All right, so now in this case, we did point A from point A to point B, which got set up and that works nicely. Now let's try, screw it off. All right. So I want to go ahead and let's see. All right, I want to use distance travel. Okay, and then so now I've got a distance. So I'm going from here. Um, I think it was 17. I put 17,000 centimeters. I've got 25,000 centimeters, so it'll end up over here somewhere. And then we want to specify direction. There's two ways you can specify direction, and you can either use the spawn transform rotation, the Z, or what I've got set up is actually passing in the direction. And this direction here will be the same direction as GES's direction. So when you go here, or also the same as Ultra Dynamic Skies direction. So if you go here, you can see we've got this pointing that way. And so we'll pass in the direction from here, but and so it'll go in that direction. So let's see. But again, this is set up for you to manually pass it in or pass in whatever direction you want from the function. Let's take a look back here and just kind of take a look. Okay, back up. All right. So I want to go ahead and choose use direction. Let's leave it at 0 right now, and 0 is going in this direction. So the storm should start here and go off over here, and that's the same way that arrow is pointing for GES. So let's see if that's true. Hopefully it is. So we'll hit play. Okay, and it's going the direction we expected. So we want it to go back the other direction. So we can just do a 180. Okay. And again, now we're basically just using direction and distance, which makes it, kind of more flexible for in-game stuff. You want to spawn a storm going this direction for this much distance without actually having to pick a particular point or calculate your point yourselves. 80, and you can see now it's going in the opposite direction. And for that distance. Faster than me, but so basically it was moving in this direction. So that is the main part of it. Let's see what else they have. So I'm going to try to incorporate speed, and basically speed would be taking, so right now I'm in clear skies, which is a wind speed of 2. So I basically got to figure out how to take that wind speed of 2 or whatever it is, and then say, okay, basically you need to adjust the movement duration, basically, which is speed. So the movement duration, the longer the duration, the slower the storm. You see I've got it set at 20, and you can see it moves pretty fast. Probably not going to want a storm moving that fast, but right? So it's moved pretty fast. If I go to, like 300, and start it, then you can see how it's moving a lot slower. So basically, we just need to figure out if, say wind speed is the general wind speed of the global weather is 2, what should the duration be over the distance? Or if it's, 5, again, what should the duration, so modifying that duration over the distance. And I just haven't quite wrapped my head around what I need to do that. So again, the main things are that you can, with this, just drag and drop, and this is going to be in GES when I upload it. I put it in the folder. So you can just drag and drop this in here, and you can use the blueprint directly just by calling the event play, and I'll leave this as an example. This is just an example. You don't have to use the event play. All I'm doing is calling this function and passing in whatever variables I want to pass in. So, and like in your case, you might want to have your own blueprint that calls this function whenever you do whatever you want to do and pass in that variable, all these variables, so you can create a storm on day one, and then an hour later create a different storm or whatever. You just call this function, it'll spawn it, it'll destroy it, and every time you call this function, it'll spawn a new storm and destroy it, and you basically just pass in your start location and all the other variables. So it's pretty easy to use. No problem there. All right. Let's see what else. All right. And you've got the normal things that he included in his example. Um, let's see, duration, travel. So that's pretty much it. I mean, the main things I added were just the distance to travel and the direction option. Again, I'll add the speed. And if you're not familiar with the radius, you can just, that's basically like if you just drag and drop the radial storm, wherever it is, wait, is that radius? No. Um, Drag and drop the radial storm here. You can basically see the main things. So the overall radius, this is kind of, so we put it at 2,000. Okay, let's see how change that. And then you've got the inner fraction radius. You can put it at 0.1 and you see the little circle on the side. So it's kind of like the override zones where you have a outside and the inside for your storm. So that's basically all that does. And then the cloud offset, the cloud's way up there. You can do a negative and bring it down, and the ground offset again will bring this up. So if you're somewhere else, like going over a mountain, um, so those kind of things you want to change, they're not in this. This one only deals with this function here, this move storm over time. So if when you're spawning it, you might want to add some things when you spawn it here to change, like you can grab this and then change the cloud offset and ground level offset. I think I might just go ahead and add those two to the function that you can pass it if you want to change it that way. You can do that. But I mean, you can see the function and see how it's easy. So you can, rip this off for your very self and make it, whatever you want. Actually, I think I'm just going to leave it as is. And, you can add in all these variables so you can spawn a storm with all these different variables if you want. And again, that's all basically grabbing off of here. So for example, let's see, I think, cloud altitude offset should be able to grab it off the radial storm, new cloud altitude offset. And then, so you can create your own function, grab this one and pass in new variables with the offsets and what other variables you want to add. Pretty simple. All right, I think that's it. That's all I wanted to show you, and I'll work on the on the uh, on the speed part of it. All right, thanks.